Korean flutist Kim Yoo-bin is drawing attention from the musical world at home and abroad. In 2014, Kim Yoo-bin became the first Korean flutist to receive a prize at the Geneva International Music Competition. Recognized for his talent at the Prague Spring International Music Competition in May of 2015, he made himself internationally known through many other competitions afterward. In 2016, Kim Yoo-bin was appointed the youngest principal flutist at the Konzerthaus Berlin, a prestigious world-class orchestra. Since then, he has expanded his musical career in full swing in both Europe and Korea. On today's Heart to Heart, we meet with Kim Yoo-bin, a promising Korean flutist. In 2016, a musical genius from Korea surprised the musical world. Yoo-bin Kim was appointed the principal flutist in the Concerthaus Berlin, one of Berlin's major symphony orchestras, only at the age of 19. And today we are joined with Yoo-bin. Thanks for coming to our studio.
Hello, I'm Flutist Yoo-bin Kim. Thank you for inviting me today.
Well, welcome to Heart to Heart. Thanks for joining us. I know that you are always on a very tight and busy schedule. You spent a very busy month performing in Japan last July.
Yeah.
So could you tell us about what kept you busy, your performances?
In July, I had a full month of concerts. The Konzerthaus Berlin have had a Japan tour with an intense repertoire. We have played about 10 concerts for 2 weeks. We have played Mahler's First and Fifth Symphony, Brahms' Second, Wagner's Overtures under the maestro Eliyahu Inbal. And after that, I had my solo recital tour in Japan. I have played 4 concerts in Tokyo, Nagoya, Sapporo, and Osaka. I have decided to build the repertoire for this recital with whole Baroque period music, because I love the Baroque period music, and especially the flute have been very commonly used in Baroque period music.
See, so yes, it's obvious you have kept very, very busy. So quick question before we get into more detail. For you personally, what is it like to perform solo and as a member of an orchestra, you know, as a part of a group of performers? How is it different?
Both ways have very opposite characteristics, but also similar senses. I have learned a lot since I started to play in the orchestra. When you play in the orchestra, we have to have big, sensitive sense to communicate with colleagues. For example, beside me, behind you, or even everyone. Yeah, so I have learned a lot but this is also very important when you play as a solist. For example, when I play in the orchestra, we always have to discuss each other and listen to each other, see each other. But when you play as a solist, actually you can have the right to insist your musical opinion. Yeah, but it's something different, but music is always to communicate. So both ways I love playing. Yeah.
So which do you prefer? There really is no preference?
Both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had your first solo recital in Japan. So tell us more about it in detail, as well as the audience response. Yeah.
So I have enjoyed a lot as I prepared well, so I was quite satisfied with concerts.
For how long did you prepare?
I think quite half a year. Yeah.
Half a year. Is that long or short?
It depends because if I prepare well, we can have much better results.
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay, related to that, we all have our good days and bad days. So I want to ask you, were you 100% happy, satisfied with your performance? What defines a good performance for you?
I think I usually do not regret after my concerts because I always try to enjoy music because music is to enjoy, not to judge what's good or bad. So I think I just enjoy, stay optimistic.
You were happy,
Yes,
satisfied?
yes.
Yeah, sounds like it. Now, you have been selected as the principal flutist, also called, I think it's solo flute in America, for the Konzerthausorchester Berlin.
Yes.
So, could you tell us about the symphony orchestra? Yeah.
The Konzerthaus Orchester Berlin was founded in 1952. We have great passion of making music together in great ambience in rehearsals. The privilege we have is our house concert hall because the Konzerthaus is very traditional concert hall, and we always rehearse in the main hall, which is very important to make own sound of the orchestra. So yeah, and our former chief conductor was Ivan Fischer until 2018, and Christoph Eschenbach, the world-known conductor, will succeed as our new chief conductor since from new season.
So what was it like to be performing in front of, to be a part of the orchestra, performing with world-renowned conductor? What was it like? How did you feel?
Yes, I was so honored to make music together with such a big musician, artist, conductor. He was my hero, and I mean, dream came true because I was playing in front of him. So emotionally, I was very touched by his great personality. And humanly, he was so great, and he was encouraging me to play better. I mean, because at that time I was very nervous because I've never had to play in professional orchestra, so I was a bit nervous and a bit shy, I would say. But he said to me, just enjoy music, just show you. I mean, even in the orchestra, so I could start, and yeah, it was simply. I was happy.
Simply amazing. Okay, I mean, you have accomplished a huge achievement at a very young age. So I just want to ask you, it's a rare case. It doesn't happen very often, does it?
Yes. In European orchestra, we always have 1 or 1.5 year as probation year. So when we pass the voting by whole orchestra members, we can get the permanent contract.
I see.
Yeah. So normally people is around, so after 20. I mean, after their studies, we can have the audition. But I was invited to the audition, and I could pass the audition, and I had the honor to get the position. I'm the youngest in the orchestra.
I know, exactly, 19. So usually, as you have mentioned, people begin to gain the opportunity to audition from maybe 20 years on, 30s, 40s, and on. But you were able to, well, actually, you were selected and appointed as principal flutist at the age of 19.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you more about the audition. Usually, how is it carried out? So you go to do the audition, usually, how is the audition held?
So when there is one free position, we have the announce that we have to apply for. And so I saw the announce, and then I could apply for it. And then we could be invited when we have a professional career or already orchestra job. I mean, when the orchestra is major orchestra.
Right.
So I have won one competition. So I had some career in music.
Yes.
So they trusted me to hear me, and then I could play for the audition.
Exactly. So you did. You have won several competitions as well. Now I want to ask you about how and when you started playing the flute.
Right.
Yes.
So my father is a musician, and I have been always familiar with music since I was young. And so my mother started to learn the flute when I was around 9 as her hobby, and I was following her lessons. So it was very interesting for me at the time. So that's why I started to learn the flute.
So you were always surrounded by music.
Yeah.
But I understand you also took piano lessons and violin lessons before you started the flute.
Yes.
What was special about the flute? Because you already had experience with the piano and violin. Why the flute?
Yeah, I've learned the piano and violin, but somehow they didn't interest me as much as flute. So I just loved the sound of flute. It's just such natural sound.
Yeah.
So I just took flute. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you were called a musical prodigy?
I was trained in the schools, especially for music in Korea. So when I was around 13, I passed the audition to enter the Korean National University of Arts.
At 13?
Yes, as prodigy academy.
Yes.
So, and also I have been educated in the Yeowon Art Middle School. So since then I have decided to play the flute as my life, as my job. Yeah.
And it's very natural for you.
Yeah.
Brings joy to your life. Now, this was when you were talking about starting at 9 and then 13, and when you turned 16, you were admitted to the National Conservatory of Music and Dance in Lyon. Now, what made you decide to study abroad? Because before that, you were in Korea, of course.
Yes.
What made you decide to study abroad?
After I had finished to study in the middle school in Korea, I wanted to learn more thing about classical music, and including instrumental techniques. I've decided to go to France because the flute, especially the flute, is very advanced and traditional in France.
So you studied in France?
Yes.
Okay, and then you moved on to Germany?
Yes.
Right. So now, 9 years after you started playing the flute, you won second prize at the Geneva International Music Competition. But people say, hey, you could say that you've been won because no one actually placed first, from what I hear. So you were the first Korean flutist to receive the prize. How did you prepare for the competition, and did you expect to do so well?
So to win the Geneva International Music Competition was my dream, and my big challenge. So I have prepared, learned, practiced to reach my goal, and so I could reach my goal to one of the finalists. But of course, I didn't expect to win the competition because I was the youngest contestant for this competition. But I tried my best, and I enjoyed a lot in finals. So I had great honor to receive second prize.
can't imagine how difficult it must be for someone so young to take part in such huge competitions. I'm sure you were very nervous in the beginning, but are you now used to it, or were you used to it by 16 or 17, 18, 19? Do you have stage fright? Do you get nervous on stage, or is it natural for you?
I would say it depends. On which performance play. For example, now if I play in the orchestra and when I have like big solo, for example, we have one piece, Prélude à l'après-midi d'un faune by Claude Debussy. It's a French composer, and this piece starts with the pianissimo sound of the flute. And so, if this kind of music, I would play, I'm very nervous. But I mean, it depends on which piece, which condition. But when I play as a soloist now, I'm quite enjoying.
All right. And besides the Geneva International Music Competition, you took part in many other music competitions. Was there a moment when you realized, wow, I'm in the spotlight? When did you realize that you were in the spotlight?
Actually, I would say my life has totally changed after this Geneva International Competition.
I see.
The applause I got during competition round, the comments and the results, of course, and the precious opportunities I've got offered. Everything this made me to have much bigger dream and passion to music. But I do not play music to receive attention. No.
Now, you also had a solo recital here in Korea at the Seoul Arts Center last year, about this time last year.
Yes.
So could you tell us about that, about how you planned the recital and the music pieces that you performed?
I have often performed the concerto as a soloist in Korea, but not actually in solo recital. So many of audiences were interested in listening to me in my own recital. So I could organize my first solo recital in Korea with the help of my great management, MOOC production. And so I have decided to make the subject of this recital French and German. I have played in a first half of the concert. I have played French music, and in the second half I played German music. So title was French and German.
Interesting.
Because the French music that I have learned a lot during my studying period in France meets the German music, the German music that I am developing my musical career by living in Germany now. So this could show simply my personality.
And this coming October, you'll be performing again at the Seoul Arts Center. So for now, we have a video clip of Yubin's first solo in Korea. So here is a quick look, and we'll be right back to continue with our talk. On July 21st, 2018, Kim Yubin pulled off his first solo recital in Korea. At the recital, he performed repertoires from France and Germany, where he previously studied and is now working respectively. Kim Yubin has been called a musical prodigy since childhood and has devoted himself to being a flutist. We hear about his past and present, also about his future goals. So, 23 years as a flutist. May sound long, may sound short, but you know, in life, we're sometimes faced with challenges. You know, we have our tough times. So I want to ask you about the toughest times for you, when those moments were, and what helped you get through those tough times. Was it family, friends, music? What was it?
I was fully supported by my parents, of course, but of course, due to the music, I could be motivated and to be ready to reach my goals till now, even though the studying abroad was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, many musical prodigies are surprising the world, and for someone like you who has made a name for himself, I'd like to ask if you could give advice to young musicians that may be watching the program today.
Yes. So my final goal is to play the flute until I could not blow anymore the air. I would like to continue my musical career, musical life, interestingly by keeping great constantly my pace as an artist. I would like to say that we have to love the nature of music, and we have to know why we play music, why I love music, and you have to know to answer it. So maybe the long-term career in music will naturally follow you.
Okay, thank you for the great advice. And last but not least, I'd like to ask if you could tell us about your visions and goals for the future, and also your plans for upcoming recitals.
Yes. I'm very happy to continue my orchestra job and also as a soloist. And of course, I have big passion in chamber music also. So someday I wish to form a chamber music group. Yeah. And actually, I have two actually. I have big German debut from the new season, 2019 to 2020. I will play the Mozart Flute Concerto with my own orchestra. I'm so looking forward to it because it's rare to play with own orchestra. And I have one more German big debut in Bochum. I will play the Cacciatorian Violin Concerto arranged for flute with the Bochum Symphonic Orchestra in January 2020. So I have quite big debut season.
Yes.
And furthermore, I have my second recital in Korea in November 2020. So I'm so looking forward to my upcoming adventure.
Yes, and I'm sure that your fans across the world are hoping to be able to experience that for themselves as well. And I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank you once again for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Flutist Yubin Kim has devoted much of his time and effort, as well as energy, into creating his own sounds, inspiring worldwide audiences with a wide array of colorful sounds. And today we'll be closing our show with Yubin Kim's flute playing. Enjoy, and I'll catch you again next time. Thanks for watching.